if we really come back to here and now, it's actually a natural intoxicant, what I would say. It puts you on a high, which is better than any artificial high you would ever have.
There is also a chapter in the book which is deeply personal, where you talk about your wife and the difficulty she has conceiving and your own feelings about it at that moment. Have you shared that chapter with your wife and asked her how she feels about that? It's a very difficult chapter for anybody to share with the world, even to write it.
Yeah, of course, she was involved with the whole experience we had. The fortunate part is that when we had our sons, there was no difficulty in conceiving. We had them very easily. So obviously, from that point of view, it's not something which is intimidating to reveal. It's only for the third child when I really wanted a daughter. I wanted a girl child, and I was really, really fixated on the idea that I need that girl child to come back into my life in some way because of my mother and my sister's absence as the inspiration. So I kind of kept fixating that I have to have it. And obviously my wife, being what she is, she's a person who does a lot of things for my happiness. I don't think she really was as keen as I was, but just to see the joy in my face, she kept trying, and finally it just happened, whatever it is in the book.
There's a lovely line, and when he says, I know the exact moment when Shloka was conceived, and you leave it at that. But again, it's something which everybody can connect to, and I found that very, very moving, that whole episode in the hospital and your feelings when the baby was born, what Avanti had gone through before that. What I would like to, with your permission, I'm sure you have a lot of questions to ask of Yash. I would rather save those last few minutes for you to interact directly with Yash, because you will get that opportunity again once the book is published. But it's a fascinating life, it's a fascinating story. And when we first thought about doing this book with him, it was very much also the Birla story, you know. When we were all growing up, when people had to say about koi Amir aadmi ke bare baat kar, they'd say, who do you think you are, a Tata or a Birla? It was much later that the Ambani name crept into it, and I think it's crept out again. But it still is, who do you think you are, a Tata or a Birla? So it was the whole fascination with the Birla life, the Birla story, what it means for a young boy to be born into a palace, literally, and to grow up in that palace and yet look beyond that palace and find himself, which has nothing to do with living the way he does. It has nothing to do with the cars they own or the number of the people who work with them and at their home. It has nothing to do with jewelry and wealth. It has something to do with his own very sincere and a deeply spiritual search. So I would really welcome questions from the audience. We have about 10 minutes more with Yash.
Hi Yash, I just wanted to understand from you, spiritualism and the business which has been there. So they are two, different aspects. How you marry together? So how, in terms of your business commitments which have been there, all the requirements, and how, so Yash Birla is same, but how you meet marry both the things?
Okay, it's often perceived that they're diverse paths, but actually they're not. Spirituality is not that you go into the mountains, run away and meditate over there and live your own life. That's not what spirituality teaches you. It teaches you to whatever you're meant to do in life, whether it's being a businessman, whether you're a family person, whether you're an artist, whatever your profession is. It teaches you how to do it with full dedication, full focus, and enjoy it while you do it. Okay, so the spirituality which you build up through your prayers and meditation, whatever you want to do, it actually helps you to perform better in your professional field, because you learn to deal with problems better. You learn to see that those problems can be overcome, and those problems are an opportunity for progress. So in the sense, it helps you overcome things better, and does help you from not crumbling down to situations and riding over them and coming out a winner. So according to me, my spirituality is the foundation which has helped me in other facets of life, which have progressed because of that good foundation.
Hey Yash, who is the guru or a teacher that has most influenced you spiritually?
See, I have actually been to a lot of gurus, including all the eminent ones we hear today, like Sri Ravi Shankar ji and Radhanath Maharaj or Satya Sai Baba. I've also gone to the Himalayas, where I've just walked and strolled around and just spoken to walking hermits, people living in caves. Just out of interest, what's the thought process, what is the philosophy in life. I won't say I follow one particular guru and follow that tradition. I follow basically the Hindu tradition, the Vedic tradition, and I take the blessings of realized masters, philosophers, teachers, like the ones I mentioned, because I think being in the environment, you get a lot of positivity. But what I follow is something which my heart tells me to, which is probably a combination of whatever I've learned till date.
If I may just interrupt at this point, because there's a passage which kind of sums up what he just said, and it says, it's on page 233, I tried my best to blend in. The stuff I had picked up from J.R. Birla about the cement industry helped me a lot. When they heard me make my point, the old men nodded in unison. I'd got their approval. Ashok's son was okay, I could hear them say. All was not doomed for the company. They looked at each other and silently conveyed this, almost telepathically. I heaved a sigh of relief, and for a brief second, I almost felt a part of their world. So even at that point, he was in it and yet not in it, always aware of the other. So it's a very interesting, very nice passage. Question, sir?
Sir, the reputation that sadly we have not only in India but abroad of not very clean business, the commercial side, the businessmen.
Sir, we can't hear you. You need to hold the mic.
The image that sadly we have of the Indian business, not only in this country but also other countries where we have lived and we know a lot about. How does a person like you marry that with your principles and with your background, and what is your thinking to survive in this situation and succeed?
How do you survive and succeed in a situation where the business environment is what it is, not just here but across the world?
See, the business environment is something which keeps changing. I don't think it is stagnant, or it's a summary of whatever we perceive it to be today. I know there's a very negative environment today about the businesses and about all the social and political issues we have. But about 5 years back, India was one of the most progressive countries, and they thought this will be the next superpower in the next few years to come. Unfortunately, things became stagnant and went the other way. I think for every businessman, obviously, it's kind of a global recession now. The European economy, the American economy is bad. India's become also bad enough to fit into all of them. But it's how to strategize and stay afloat, do the best things you can at this time, so that ultimately when the scenario changes, you can capitalize on what's going on, and what's the best for you. So I won't say India is as of now perceived as a negative environment to do business internationally and here, but I don't think it's something which is permanent. It will change. You have to have just patience and endurance to survive through it.
Thank you. There are Two more questions here. There's one
Yeah.
question. Sorry, there's a mic there. Sangeeta.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. Yash, we've heard about the Birla legacy that if there is no construction work, that the whole dynasty is going to collapse. I mean, this is the legend of the Birla family, that they have to keep building and constructing new institutions. So that's part one. Part two, which are the institutions you think India most needs today if the Birlas had to put time, money, energy into building new institutions? That's my question.
Okay, yeah, you're talking about something which we've always grown up with, that what we earn has to be given back to society in some way, and culture, religion, tradition has to always be supported. Otherwise, you're not doing justice to what you've got. I think the Birla family, from 3 generations, they've been involved in all kinds of social activities like building temples, schools, hospitals, and other like dharamshalas to facilitate spiritual travels. I do feel in today's day and world, schools are very important, because the schools and how, not only building schools, but the way you teach the children. The way you teach the children today, because the generation is changing, the environment is changing. There's a lot of influx of Western culture and computerization, Facebook, God knows what. I think there's a great requirement for the children to be taught the value system of the Indian culture, the ethics, the moralities. Of course, we have to accept that it's a different world today and we can't live in the past. But at the same time, the way we educate a child is losing its sense today. Everyone's burdened with performance, competitiveness, a lot of books, mugging, and the practical side of growing into a complete human being is lacking. So when I say building institution, we should, as a family or as a society, build institutions which give good education, not only as in quantity but also in quality. And that's something I would focus on if I had my options.
Hello. Hi, Yash. Yeah.
Hi.
Want to identify yourself? Thank you.
Okay. So if spirituality is defined in 2 ways, one is meticulous and calculative, and the other way is like you care a damn, take a risk and go by instincts. Which of this has helped you more in your life?
Well, I think there's no clear line of distinction between the two. Everything has to be thought of, the risks. You have to use your intelligence, intellect, experience, evaluate everything. But yes, there is an amount of intuition involved in every decision, because every decision will have its risks. There is no decision which is risk-free. Being a successful businessman is also about taking risks. Now, sometimes those risks can be catastrophic, and you'll have a problem. You'll go into a problem, you'll go into a financial issue, whatever it is. But as long as you've done it full awareness, you'll know why the problem has happened, and there will be an opportunity for coming out. You have to have the strength and courage to endure it at that time and to come out of it. But intuition is a very strong aspect, because if you do not use your intuition, sometimes on intellect you'll keep oscillating between decisions, which is not correct. The worst thing is not to take a decision. You have to take a decision and on time in any business environment.
Thank you.
That was lovely. Worst thing is not to take a decision. Lovely line.
Yeah.
And we're taking the last 2 questions, and then we will end. I just wanted to read what he says in conclusion during the narrative. Would you identify yourself, sir?
Yeah, I am.
Vandana, and then we have to vacate place.
I am Anil Karamchandani. I just wanted to ask, do you find yourself stretched between what you want to do and what you have to do because you are part of Birla family?
I won't say I don't get that perception at times, but at the end of the day, as I think I was earlier talking, that I live by my own values and what my conscience allows me to do. And once I believe in it, I don't really care what anybody says, what anybody feels. Of course, the Birla family has a reputation of a very cultured, valued family. And according to me, your conscience will always tell you if you're doing something against those values. So I let my conscience decide. I don't let rules, regulations, and perceptions decide my course of action.
Good
Vandana.
morning, I'm Vandana. Thank you for the lovely session. Yash, just a final question taking from the paragraph she read. So now do you finally belong, or have the tables turned and people are aspiring to be you in part of the family? Because it looks like now everyone wants to be a rock star. So now are people turning around and saying, we want to be you, and are they changing their view, or do you finally belong? Have you found those answers? Sorry, it's not business related, nothing. I don't care about the finances, really.
It's very apt. I don't really know whether people really want to follow my trend or not, because I've heard both sides of the story, positive and negative.
Because
and
you
that's
seem
life.
to be very happy.
I'm very happy.
Yeah, you know, so maybe people are
bec-
seeking happiness and are looking
Because
at
to
you.
me, with every positivity, there is negativity. With every praise, there will be some criticism. Everybody who says it's good to be, quote unquote, a rock star will say, oh, what the hell, what are you doing? So I know that happens. If you're living in a delusional world that, oh, I'm just in the good books of everybody, everyone just praises me, then you're living in La La Land. In fact, there'll be more criticism than praises. That's how I look at it. But again, you live on your own terms, according to your own values, according to your own conscience and what you believe in. And again, after that, I don't care. I don't care what anybody says, talks, thinks, feels, opines, follows, contradicts. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to end reading the last paragraph from the book, where Yash says, desires are never ending. When one desire gets fulfilled, we focus on another. What we have with us loses value eventually. What we don't have, we crave for. Giving gives permanent joy. Taking gives momentary satisfaction.